Welcome to the Vibrant Life podcast. This is the official podcast of the Vibrant Life community, and I'm Sarah Nolan, and I'm a burnout prevention and energetic management consultant, and I'm here with Ann Carden, and Ann is an amazing and brilliant consultant who has 41 years of business experience and also has been running her own business for over 29 years on her own. And she is a business consultant who helps coaches and service providers make 6 to 7 figure leaps in 12 months or less. I mean, who could use that, right? And then scaling up from there. So I'm so excited to be speaking with you today, Ann. I know you have an amazing story to share with us. Ann has published 3 books, and she's got her 4th one on the way.
And my third's on the way.
Oh, your third's on the way.
My third's
okay.
on the way. Yes. Sorry about that.
That's right. And can you tell us the name of your book? Because I don't want to, there was, you had a really good description for it.
Yes. So it's actually for coaches, consultants, people wanting to build a coaching and consulting business. It's called Expert in You. Build a lucrative and impactful coaching and consulting business with your expertise.
Beautiful. And that should be ready in about 2-ish weeks, right?
Hopefully, yes.
Awesome.
Finishing things up now.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm so excited for that to come out, and I'm going to get it too.
Thank you.
So Ann, so we were talking just a little bit before we started recording, and Ann was sharing with me a little bit about her journey as an entrepreneur and how she started as a business manager working in corporate, and then she transitioned to her own business because of starting a family, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience working in corporate as a business manager, and then how that transition happened?
Sure, absolutely. So for 13 years, I was working in corporate, running departments in major realtor and also retail. I can't even talk today, in retail organizations. And I did that for 13 years. And then we made the decision after we had kids that we wanted to move back to the Midwest. We were living in California at the time. Wanted to move back to the Midwest, and I wanted to raise my kids and not have to have them raised by daycare and be a stay-at-home mom. But we moved to the country. My husband loves the country, so we moved to the country, bought a home, and I left my corporate income, and there really was just no opportunity. We were outside of a small town, and there just was no opportunity really for me to go back to work, even if I would have wanted to. I mean, there was the grocery store and there was Walmart. That was about it. So, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So my husband was driving back and forth to the city, and we found ourselves really financially strapped, trying to just keep our head above water, keep food on the table. And it really was that difficult. I can remember there was a turning point, Sarah, where I was trying to figure out, how are we going to make this work? I don't even know how we can do this. My kids were getting hand-me-down clothes from relatives. We're in the Midwest, so my husband hunted, and that was our meat. I mean, I didn't buy meat at the store. I mean, all these things. And this is 29 years ago. So I didn't have the luxury of opening up a laptop and saying, I think I'll start a business. I had to be much more innovative and creative. But I decided at that point I was going to look for a way to make money, because my 4-year-old son needed shoes and we did not have the money. Wow. And I sat down and cried, and I said, I have to find a way to help my family and do something here that is still going to work in my lifestyle and what I want. And I started looking for a way. And long story short, that turned into a 7-year business where I employed several people, running basically a creative manufacturing business out of my home that went global. And again, we didn't have.
What were you making?
So I started at that time, and this is probably way before your time, but at that time, the craft industry was exploding across the country. And I was doing things. I've always been very creative and kind of crafty. And I was doing things really just as a stress reliever when I was in
Yeah.
corporate, and started kind of making some things and thought maybe there's a little store in town, I can go and sell these things. And long story short, I ended up with my own designs, I had a line of dolls, shipped them all over the world. And again, had, several other moms working for me, and I really was running a manufacturing company out of my home. So yes, that went international and did that for 7 years. And after that, built 4 more businesses. When I sold that business, there was a change kind of going on in the market. So I sold all of my designs to a pattern company. I was doing patterns as well, and sold that and started, other businesses, and have sold those. So I've sold 5 businesses.
So it sounds like you have really, out of necessity, mastered the ability to create something massive out of nothing. Out of like, we don't have money for shoes, and here we are, we're going to create this thing.
And that's really the great thing about who we are as human beings. We have so much potential that we don't even tap into most of the time.
Yeah.
In fact, all of my businesses started like that. My second business, Sarah, started because I had gained 50 pounds in that first business, and I had always been somewhat small. And all of a sudden, here I am, I'm 50 pounds overweight. I was really, stressed out, not feeling well. And I thought, okay, I have control over this. So I'm going to start exercising, eating right. And again, we didn't have the same things available to us that we do now. And I had no idea.
No YouTube.
Started. What? Do what?
No YouTube to like.
No, I didn't have any of those things. In fact, I had to go to Walmart, and I bought. Oh boy, this is really going to date me. You're going to laugh. Richard Simmons deal meal. Okay, and a video to get started, and that was how I started. But as I lost the weight and I just fell in love with fitness and with all of that. And I decided I was going to go back to school and learn more about nutrition and all of those things. And so I started my second business. I went and got certified as an instructor. We called it aerobics back then. So that should really tell you how old I am. But I went to a back to school barbecue and handed out flyers to moms and said, hey, would you like to take classes with me at the community hall? And that turned into 4 health clubs.
Wow.
2 weight loss centers and 2 large health clubs, which I sold all 4 of those when I started my coaching and consulting business. So, but I made a lot of mistakes. I do not want to, you were talking about, how did it translate going from corporate into my own business? Right. No, it did not at all, because in corporate, I was given budgets. I was, I did interview people and I did all the moving parts of that, but it was someone else's money. I didn't have to go out and do all the marketing. I had sales people, I had teams, I had people that could do a lot of the things in the business. It just did not translate. And, and the reason I'm passionate about helping people in their businesses is because of all the mistakes I made, all the things that I struggled with through the years, and overcame and learned, better ways. And it was just such a game changer when I thought, gosh, you have control over your business. You have control over your marketing and all the things that go on. And a lot of times we don't think we do as business owners. But we actually do. It's just, you have to learn the skills, right? You have to learn the knowledge and learn the skills.
Right. Exactly. And what I'm thinking, so I'm a mom and I have 2 pretty young kids. They're 7 and 9. Aww. And, so many people, and I see this all the time, I see this every day, when they get into a situation like what you were in, and this happens to new parents quite often, where you get in, you kind of get into some financial struggle at some point, and you have to take care of your kids. And so many people just stay stuck in that loop. They stuck in that cycle of struggling. So it sounds like you made some different choices. What do you think contributed to the path that you went on that some people are like struggling to come out of? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm a believer. I am a Christian. I have a strong faith, and I know that was a big part of it. I did a lot of praying and things like that. But I think also, Sarah, I have always been someone that never gave up on things.
Yeah.
I've always been kind of an overachiever in a way. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've never settled for my circumstances. I just believe that, we have so much capability and so much opportunity. And I can't even imagine if I lived in, if I started my first business today with the opportunity that's out there. I mean, there's just no comparison
Yeah.
in what I had to do. I had to run ads in international magazines and spend a lot of money to
Mm-hmm.
market that business. And I had to go out and do shows. And, I did a lot of running around and all of those kinds of things because we just didn't have, Etsy and all of these online e-commerce sites and things like that. But I just really think that it was a lot of soul searching. It was
Mm-hmm.
looking at myself and saying, okay, what are my capabilities here and how can I contribute? And I think just really sometimes just taking a step back and thinking things through. And like I said, I prayed as well. And meditation, a lot of people meditate. All of those things can help you realize that
Mm-hmm.
you just have so much that you're capable of and that you can do. It just takes some slowing down sometimes
Yeah.
and just
Slowing
thinking
down.
things through. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. It's amazing. It almost seems too simple,
It is
like I don't
really.
have time to slow down
Right.
or, I can't afford to slow down. But then if you just slow down even for 5 minutes, like it's amazing what can come to you and what you can see in that little bit of time.
It's interesting talking about this because one of the things that I really, when I work with business, I work with small business owners as well as
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs and coaches. So I kind of have two sides of my business, but it doesn't matter who I'm working with. One of the things that I always try to get them to do is take time to think, take time
Mm-hmm.
away from their business to
Mm-hmm.
work really on their plans, on their business, on their thoughts, just even getting out a piece of paper and brainstorming sometimes. What do I want? What don't I want? What's working? What's not working? Even that, something so simple can just give you shifts that you just don't even realize.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love that advice, and I feel like people are working. They spend so much time working in the business that you know. I know for myself, I make sure to do kind of what you're talking about, where I'm brainstorming and just kind of getting myself in a space of thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be really easy to go days or even weeks between those periods, and so such a good reminder to just always come back and reflect with a clear mind.
Mm-hmm. And I advise people too to schedule that time in, make that
Mm-hmm.
appointment with yourself
Yeah.
and schedule it. So one of the things I like to do is about every 2 weeks, I like to take a half a day or a day and just kind of look back and look forward and see, what I have accomplished, what I want to change, make those course corrections along the way. It can be a really, really powerful thing, for people to do that. But you
Now,
schedule it.
when you take that half day, do you go anywhere special? Do you just do it in your office? Do you set it up any particular way?
Sometimes, I do it different ways, to be quite honest, but what it really boils down to is I just shut things down.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just get myself in a quiet space. My office is very quiet. I don't have an office in my home. I have an office, a real office. And so I go to that, and I don't have anyone in here working with me
Mm-hmm.
unless my assistant, well, she doesn't work in my office very often. She does a lot of virtual work for me, but um, I, it's very quiet. And so for me, that works really well, but it really is about just turning things off and shutting things down. So that can be a room in your house. That can be, going someplace. I get distracted easy. I think I'm probably a
Mm-hmm.
little ADD, but most entrepreneurs are, right?
Yeah, I was just
But
gonna say.
I get distracted really easy. So to go to a noisy place doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I get too distracted. So I have to be in a very quiet place where I can really focus. But that's just me.
Yeah. You know what has actually really helped me with what you're talking about, and I never intended it to be this way, but I had just found that it helps, is I do quite a bit of traveling. About every month, I'll fly someplace to do a meetup or, have lunch with somebody or a mastermind or something. And the airport and on the plane has been like what you're talking about, where I just kind of like, there's nothing else. I'm like strapped in. I can't go
Mm-hmm.
anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just me and a notebook. And it's
That's
amazing
perfect.
what you can get done.
Yeah, no, I actually do the same thing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
When I'm on an airplane too, although I get motion sickness, so I have to be
Yeah.
really careful about the whole writing thing. But actually, I still can jot down thoughts and I use that time to really think. And sometimes too, um, just really, I mean, anytime you, even in your car, you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
driving someplace, keep things turned off. Just,
Mm-hmm.
I love to use car time and travel time to listen to books and things like that. So I do love to do that. But sometimes just quiet, just silence, driving, and that can make a big difference as well, because some of your best ideas are going to come to you when you are just still
Yeah.
and very quiet.
Now, do you keep a microphone or like a recording device in your car so you can?
My phone.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
I do my voice microphone a lot on my phone
Mm-hmm.
when I'm driving, and so if I think of something, I can hit it and I can just record it and make a note of it. Yes,
Very cool.
all these gadgets we have, it's
I
just amazing.
know. It's like there's no excuses. We've got
There
more than enough to do whatever we want.
There are not any excuses at all. Business is so much easier today. I just can't even get over it. I mean,
Yeah.
even, I wish I would have had the opportunity to have coaches and consultants
Mm-hmm.
when I was building my businesses, but I didn't know any. And I mean, people just don't even realize what they have available to them today. And that's why you see young people building multiple $1 million businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was just unheard of even, 10 or 15 years ago. You just didn't see those things. And like you do now. And maybe because we're in the online space, we see
Right.
so much of it. But it was just, business was just so different. And now people just move so fast. Business is so fast, but there's just so much more opportunity than there ever has been.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, kind of bringing this back to how you've been helping your clients. You talk about helping your clients to, make 6 and 7 figure leaps in their businesses. How does that happen? How do you
Yeah.
help people do that?
So I really believe in a scale method. For a lot of years, I built my businesses with the traditional growth method, which is kind of like, you market, sell, deliver, market, sell,
Mm-hmm.
deliver. But actually, that's a very costly method to growing your business. And so, over the years, I've learned a better way. And you hear scale all over the place, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think a lot of people really understand what that means. But what it really means is making bigger leaps by optimizing what you are doing or finding the fastest path. And
Mm-hmm.
so and I have several strategies that I use with people that I'm working with. And so for a coach or consultant, moving them to a high ticket offer can be a game changer in their business, and helping them build a core business, make that their core business and then build off of that. That can be a really fast, rapid leap for like a coach or a consultant, but I can do the same thing in a small business. So let's take, for example, I'm just going to say, let's take a plumbing company, for example.
Yeah.
um, Hot water heaters are very profitable for them, and they're also high ticket. So if you think about fixing a toilet for a few $100s, or fixing, replacing a hot water heater, which is a couple $1,000s, if they focused and built their business around hot water heaters, it would take them less staff,
Mm-hmm.
or less people. It would not take a lot of expertise. They could easily teach someone to do that. There are just so many win-wins to do something like that. So I look for really the opportunity in a business that is going to be not only a fast path for them, but is also going to be very high profit, because that's really important. Revenue is not important if you're not making profits and it's not hitting your bottom line. So that is one of the strategies. Another way is to help business owners acquire companies that are already out there. Maybe a little guy that is struggling and isn't making it, but he does have a client list, or he has a client base. Bringing that person in as an employee, acquiring that client base is a really rapid growth strategy that doesn't really cost them any money, and they bring in an incredible employee. So there's just some strategies like that I use.
That's awesome. Can you share with us one success story that you've had with your clients recently?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I have a guy that was struggling. He was actually launching a brand new product in the United States, and he was struggling to even get any kind of appointments, get anyone even talking to him. His niche was going to be chiropractors, and he had a product that could help heal people faster. So like inflammation and people who are struggling with, health issues in that way. And, the problem for chiropractors is everything's very hands-on, right? And so this would be something that could bring them not only passive income to help them build their business, but their staff could run it, and it would be something that could set them apart in the marketplace. But he couldn't even get appointments. So he was referred to me by a past client. And when I looked at everything he was doing, his packaging was wrong, his offer was wrong, his marketing was wrong, his sales process, just nothing he was doing was really dialed in right. And so we just restructured everything, and we looked at what are the problems that the chiropractors, what are the challenges and things that he's going to have to overcome, and all that was put into the marketing and the message. We restructured the offer, so he actually added in a consulting component, because one of the objections he was going to have to overcome is we don't have time to train our staff to do this, right? And so he added in a consulting piece to that. And as a result, we were able to give him a really nice offer. And he made the decision, like anything, you have to figure out, okay, how can I reach them? How can I get to them? Where are they? And he decided to do like trade shows for chiropractors. So once we got everything packaged up and figured all the pieces out, he went to a trade show and he closed about $80,000 in new business in 2 days. But the great thing is he now had a rinse and repeat system. So he hired salespeople all across, in different states, and they all went and did the very same thing, same setup, same message, same sales process, everything. And long story short, in about a year, he hit almost $1 million. So he went from 0 to right at 7 figures in a year in his business. And it really just, it came down to basics in his business.
So it sounds like the game changer for him was dialing in his message, his offer, his, what do you feel like was one of the biggest shifts that he made in that process? Because I know a lot of people go through processes like that and don't necessarily see that kind of success. Like, what made him so special that he, was it the way he implemented? Was it his mindset?
That's a really good question, actually. He had some business background. He had actually built some businesses in the past. And so he already knew what it was going to take. And he was not afraid to go out and sell. I mean, he had already been trying to knock on doors and make phone calls and do cold calling. To me, that's, the ickiest thing ever. Nobody wants to do that, but that's what he was really doing. So, one of the things I do when I work with people is I look at, are they the right person for me to really be able to make massive leaps with? Are they in the right mindset? Are they a go-getter? Are they driven? I mean, I can help anyone that's hungry. And, really, because that is truly what it takes to be successful in business, is just to persevere, to not give up, to keep working something, be flexible, not chase shiny objects. I'm not talking about that, but be willing to course correct and make shifts for what's not working, be open-minded. All of those things are what make a great entrepreneur. And for him, he wasn't afraid to go out and sell. He hired me, he paid me good money to help him, and he listened. He was coachable. And that is really what it takes, to have success in business.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. And it sounds like that's what you were doing too, and why you have been so successful on your journey.
That's what I'm still doing.
Exactly.
Yes, I mean, you just can't. I think too many people One of two things: they don't get the knowledge, they don't acquire the knowledge they need or the skills that they need to build a business. And you can do that now because there are people like myself who help people do that, right? But the other piece of it, most of the time, Sarah, when I see people not doing well in business, if I can make a few shifts in their business to help them get fast leaps, which I can, if they are willing to do the work. And that's really what it boils down to. So many people don't take action. They're not consistent. If they take action, they'll work really hard. And you work with burnout, right? And so they'll work super hard and put in all the effort and all the time, and then they don't. And it's, business isn't like that. It needs to be very consistent.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And what I have seen from my clients is that the mindset in the inner stuff is typically the reason they're either not taking action or they're like in that just extreme highs and lows of their action with the burnout cycle.
Yes.
So what's one of the most challenging experiences that you've had in these past 29 years with your business experience?
Oh, wow. I have
if you could narrow it down.
I do. Yeah, there are a lot, but actually I have a story for you. When I had my health club and my weight loss center. So I had two different businesses. One I was almost like a franchise. The other was my own health club. And I expanded that, and we put a lot of money into expanding that business, and it was just exploding. And we were kind of a high priced health club. We were really kind of known as the best one really around. And back then, again, we didn't have a health club on every corner. When I sold my last business, we had 27 of them.
Wow.
Within a 2-mile radius. So it was very competitive. But one of the things that kind of put me on the journey to learn about business and marketing and all of that is we had a low price competitor come in, and they were literally 75% less than my fee. And they had all new, all shiny, bells and whistles, brand new building, pool, all these things. And I had a very nice place, but I had been there for a while, and I was established, and all of a sudden they come in and they have all of this stuff that they could offer. And it was 75% less. And, we're in a fairly small town, a town of about 15,000 people. So it wasn't like there were, 200,000 people, 500,000 people to pick from. And I didn't know how to overcome that. And, I had to really start looking for ways to innovate in my business. Actually, that's how the weight loss piece came in. I was already kind of doing it within my health club, but I didn't go out and actually buy into another business to bring it in. But as they were offering all these things, I had to find a different way to compete. And so I brought in a licensed health club or weight loss center, and I was looking for ways to completely set myself apart. The other thing I did is I had my own proprietary program that I was really known for. We used to have waiting lists for it. And it was, a higher dollar program. And so all of those things were ways that I set myself apart. And I just started looking for different ways to innovate in my business. So if they went left or if they copied me, I did something different. And
they would actually copy you?
Oh, all the time. Practically their whole facility, even down to the colors. I mean,
gosh, wow.
Yeah, it was a little crazy, but so the whole time I could not figure out, because I knew what my business was doing and the revenue and the profitability. And it wasn't like making money hand over fist. Like I wasn't rolling in millions or anything like that. We were in a small town, but it was successful. But I couldn't figure out, how are they doing this? Like, I know what their overhead is. I know, I'm business savvy enough at that point that I I couldn't figure out how they were profitable and how they were even staying in business. But they hurt us. I mean, they truly did take, some of the business away for the people that were very price conscious. And, again, they had new and shiny and all of that. So I looked for ways to innovate. So that is actually how my third business and my fourth business opened. I'm like, okay, well, don't put all my eggs in one basket.
Right.
Let me open in another location. Well, that was a really bad idea. It turned out okay, but that was a bad idea to expand. It was good in a way, but it was also not necessarily the best move because I didn't have my business to a place yet where it wasn't completely not dependent on me.
Right.
If I was in that with that business, if I didn't have to work in the business so much, then that would have been a totally different thing. But I still was doing that. I had a staff and I had a team, but I was still very involved inside the business working in it. And so opening up two more, another location with two more businesses. So now I'm running 4 businesses and they're 45 minutes apart and I'm exhausted and, everything was just a stress, but I was trying to not lose the business, I had. But through all of that, it took me on a path to get better in my business skills, to get better in my marketing skills. That's where I really started growing and learning. And, again, I was just not going to lay down and just, lose this business.
Right.
But it all worked out well. I ended up selling all 4 of those at different times, but for great profits. And the funny story is, actually, this was just a couple of years ago. They called me, that health club called me. And
the one that you sold or the
one that was my competitor.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, called me and they wanted me to buy them out. They wanted me to buy the business. And so I went in and had a conversation. Actually, I just wrote an article about this too. I went in and had a conversation with them. And what I found out is they were never profitable, ever. So I was right. I was spot on. But here's the thing. They were never profitable. It was a tax write-off for them. The whole time.
Oh my gosh.
And they had opened it so her kids would have a place to work and kind of run as a business. But it was never
wild.
profitable. Yeah. So, I mean, my story, actually, the article I just wrote, I said, if I would have just laid down and been a victim of all of that, I would have lost everything. And I would not have really gone on the journey that I went on to become better and smarter in business and all of the components of business. And that really is what took me into coaching and consulting. Yeah. And I ended up learning more than a lot of business owners knew. And I was like, wow, I could help them. And so that's kind of how I fell into that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm imagining, you in that situation with your health club and just how much it must have pushed you to reach deeper and deeper into your resourcefulness and learn how to become innovative in a way that never would have happened if you hadn't had that specific experience.
Yes. And that's what I was saying about being flexible, course correcting, looking for new ways, looking for, just again, always, you have to always be innovative. I mean, we see it in the online space. You write some great copy, you start getting traction, you look different, and then somebody copies you. And then you have to shift again. So my goal, or something that I think has always been in me, is I want to be, 5 steps ahead of everybody. So I'm always looking ahead and not looking at, what's going on right now, because you're only as good as what you can do in the future, really.
Right. Exactly. And it takes some time to move into that place of being in the future. So that reminds me of when you're riding a bike, right? If you're riding a bike, your bike is going to go in whatever direction you're facing. So if you're like looking around at like what everybody else is doing, then you're going to go in this like kind of swervy, crash into stuff. But if you're looking straight ahead, then you're going to go in that direction. Have you found that for yourself when you are able to project yourself kind of forward thinking?
Yes. And that's one of the things I really teach and I really talk about. Distraction is our worst enemy in business, and also paying attention, trying to chase everybody else.
Yeah.
you know, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but I wrote it in an article, so it's out there anyway. But you know, I was very jealous and frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
and when they came in and they were able to offer all of this and practically, you know, kill my business. And it was, I was, you know, we're human, right? And so I was jealous that they could do that when I wasn't able to do that, and that they could have all of this stuff. And, you know, and that's when I really had to take a step back and say, okay, what you're doing here, focusing on them, being frustrated, being jealous, letting all of this emotion take you over and feeling like a failure and, you know, not knowing what to do different. I really had to take a step back, and I just had to say, you know what, this is not serving me. It's not helping me. I'm not a victim. I'm not going to play the victim. I'm going to find a new way. And that's when I started looking for ways to innovate. And here's the thing, Sarah, that I've learned through all the years, and this is for anyone. If you just open your eyes and open your mind, you will find other ways and opportunities. Like, they will come to you. I really believe that. But when you're so closed off because you're burnt out, you're tired, you're frustrated, you're stressed, you're whatever, nothing can get in. Like, nothing can get in. And so that was such a good lesson for me. So now I don't get shook up, or I don't get, you know, fazed about things. I'm just like, okay, if they're going left, I'm going to go right. You know, I'm going to look for a way to go right or up or wherever.
And you know what's so fascinating about your story, and you know, just kind of what came from it, is if you look in hindsight, like, think about how frustrated you were back then, and in hindsight, it's like it grew you. So you have this amazing advantage that most people don't have. And you also made a profit on those businesses that you opened because of the competitor.
Yeah. I mean, and the truth is, because it took me on that journey to grow as a business owner, that's the reason I was able to sell all of those businesses. Up to that point, I'm not sure they were really saleable. I was still very in the business. The business was dependent on me a lot. That's not a saleable business. If a business is dependent on you and it's not going to basically be able to run without you, nobody wants to buy that. People don't want to buy a job, right? They can just create their own job. So because I went on that journey, not only was I able to make really fast turnarounds and excel in those businesses, in all of them, but I was actually, you know, able to sell them for a profit. And so that is really another place where my heart is to help business owners is, you know, what if something happens to you tomorrow that you can't do your business anymore? Well, if you're a second income, it's probably not that big of a deal, right? If your business is kind of a hobby or just a second income, it's not that big of a deal. But if it's your bread and butter, if it is your livelihood, that's a very dangerous place to be. And so I try to teach people, whether it's a coach or an entrepreneur or a business owner, always build your business as if you are going to exit tomorrow. If you think like that, then the decisions that you make, the focus, the direction that you'll have in your business will get you so much further. And you won't chase shiny objects. Like, you'll have the focus. I did know that I wanted to sell those health clubs. We were looking for that, but I didn't know I was going to open 2 more. You know, we were looking for that to kind of be retirement at some point. So as I put money into that and I invested in that club, I didn't worry about it because I always felt like that would come back to me. But then when that club came in, all of a sudden, everything my whole vision for thinking this is going to be our retirement, you know, I'm going to put all my time and energy and money into this and then it's going to pay off. All of a sudden that was threatened. And that is not a good place to be. And so now I'm very passionate about teaching people to not be in that place, you know, and always know that you can literally eliminate your competition if you know what you're doing in business. You really can. You know, short of a major catastrophe that you can't help, which is a small percentage, right? You can if you master all of that, you don't have to worry about things like competitors and people coming in. So
Love that. I love it. That's awesome. Do you have any last words that you want to leave with people? Do you have any advice or insights that you want to share just based on your journey and, something that could help people move forward?
Well, since you are in front of a lot of entrepreneurs, and there are probably going to be a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this, my best advice that I can give, and it is the most basic thing ever. I was just a guest on a podcast yesterday, and I think I ended up giving the same advice. Yeah. But the thing is, it's so basic, is to have a vision. Have a vision for where you want your business to go. And if you can build it to sell, no matter what kind of business you are, even if you don't think you'll ever want to sell it, it doesn't matter. Have the vision, because if you do that, all the decisions that you make should align with that vision. So if you know where you're going, it's very much like a GPS or a roadmap, right? You're going to know exactly where you're going. So then you are able to sort of eliminate all the distractions, cut away, and you just stay focused on that vision. Now, that doesn't mean you don't course correct. It doesn't mean you're not flexible and all of that, but you have to know really what the end goal is. What are you trying to accomplish? And if you just stay focused to the end result, and you kind of reverse engineer and, set up the roadmap to get there, it will be very hard for things to move you off of that course. Like your mind will already kick in.
Right.
Your subconscious will already kick in, just setting the goal or just setting the vision. I saw those health clubs before I ever built them. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what they looked like, but I saw them. I saw having a big club. I saw, it became even bigger and expanded even more than I ever dreamed. But that's my whole point. If I would have just thought about teaching classes at a little community hall, and that would have been as big as I ever wanted to be, that's where I would have stayed. Right. So does that make sense?
Yeah. I love that. That's great advice. And it's amazing how much just having a vision can help anybody come out of like an emotional slump, or come out, just have some more hope in their lives. Because once you have that vision, it opens up the pathways and the clarity and everything that comes with it. So
it does. And one other thing too is, I think that when you have that vision, it really is going to also help you. It's going to help you just expand every area of your life. You're going to grow just because of that. You are going to be able to grow, because you're always going to be looking for ways to stay on course. Okay, what am I missing? What do I need? And it will be easier to not give up. And the one thing that I've learned through all the years is not giving up is a habit you create.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Sounds like that's been your theme the whole time. And to be honest, all of these interviews, that's the common theme with everybody I've been interviewing about overcoming something major, is they never gave up. And that's why they were able to overcome, so that makes sense. But thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for sharing your journey and your story. There's so much wisdom and insight in this one interview. So, for everybody who's watching, listening, and you resonate with this, go back and watch or listen again, because you're going to pick out some new insights that are going to serve you in ways that you didn't necessarily expect. Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody who wants to learn more about you, where should we send them?
You can definitely find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm very active on Facebook, so you can find me. I even have some Facebook group on there.
What's your Facebook group?
So my Facebook group is Next Level Coaches, Entrepreneurs, and Experts.
Okay.
So I have a great group of people in there, consistently, giving value, offering training, collaborating. So we have a lot of good people in there. But you can also I actually have 2 websites. So if you're a small business owner, I have a website that is anncardencoaching.com. And if you're more of a coach or a consultant or a service provider, then annlcarden.com is my website. So here's a marketing tip for you. If you have 2 sides to your business, make sure you market them separately.
Yeah. Great advice. Okay. Awesome. All right. So Ann's got her book coming out in a couple of weeks, so you'll probably do some kind of announcement when that happens, right?
I definitely will. We are going to do a big push to try to get it to bestseller on Amazon for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
So yes, we'll be doing a push date, and then probably I will be scheduling a book signing probably sometime in February or March, sometime spring. It will probably be a little bit later. I'm in the
Awesome.
Midwest. We get terrible weather, so
Well,
yeah.
we just had almost 2 feet of snow dumped on us here in Colorado, so.
Oh, you're in Colorado. I can't believe how many
Yeah.
people I talk to that are in Colorado.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
yeah,
It's amazing here.
last year when we went to Hawaii, we got laid over in Denver, and everything was canceled, and all of that. We ended up spending the night in Denver before we missed our Hawaii flight and had to fly out the next day. And we're doing that again in January, so I'm a little nervous about it that we're going to go through this again because we're going back to Hawaii in January. So
Well, that's awesome, but Denver totally is not the worst place to be stuck for a day.
no, it was nice.
So for everybody watching and listening, if anybody who signs up to work with Ann, and you mentioned this podcast, I also have a gift that I'd like to give you. It is a free year subscription to the Rejuvenation Club, which is a year of meditations and support that will help you on your journey. It's going to be an amazing complement to the work that Ann's doing. Some of that, the inner work, and she can help you with the strategy and everything and get you off and running. So just let her know that you heard about the podcast and we'll get that set up. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in, and we will talk to you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Ann.